guys, it's Glenn from glenscarcollection.com, and today I'm going to tell you how to buy a car at a dealership, whether it's a new car or a used car. All right, so you've watched the channel. We have over 900 videos on this channel now, about 800 different cars, about 30 or something of my own cars over the years of doing this channel. And so I bought over 100 cars, private sale and dealerships, and a dealership's new and used cars, since I primarily buy used cars to save money, let the new person hit that depreciation. So today I'm going to learn you the tips that I've learned. Experience is the best teacher, so I learned over years of doing this in many cars, and this is typically how I will buy a car. All right, so number one, before you even shop for a car, get your finances in order. There's so many loan payment calculators online where you can play around with what your car would cost, what your payment should be, what your financing options are. You can get a free credit report from a lot of different sites. So this way, get your financing in order first. Dealer's going to charge you a markup on financing unless it's you're buying a new car, or they have some kind of sale on pre-owned cars where the manufacturer is giving you an ultra low rate to buy that car. Typically, if the dealer's just using a local bank, there's going to be a markup. The dealer's going to make a profit on that loan, and so is the bank. So that's typically not going to be the cheapest way to buy the car. Also, everybody hates shopping for a new car or new to them car, so it could be a used car, because of the process. Dealers want to drag it on for 2 hours to make you purchase the car because you won't want to go anywhere else because the process takes too long. So try to vet that car out as much as you can. So let's just say you want a used BMW M3, it can be anything. Do searches online. So the first place I would start is usually the forums, using enthusiasts on those cars. And if there are any issues, because every used car has their issues, maybe those issues have already been addressed, or the car is priced appropriately so you can address those issues. Let's just say you wanted to buy an E46 M3, you're going to have to address maybe vanos, rod bearing, subframe, that kind of stuff. You're probably not going to find that at a dealership though. So kind of figure out what you vet out that car first. So if this is a car, search. Hopefully you can find a couple different cars. Like if you're looking for a Mustang GT350R or an E92 M3 in yellow, there's not going to be many of those. So you're not going to have a leg up for negotiation. But if you're looking for a Camry, a Civic, a 3 Series, you could probably find a couple of them where you live in your price range with the mileage. Kind of vet out the problems. Always Google that car, especially if it's a used car, to see what issues there are. Maybe there's a certain issue or a certain recall that needs to be done, and this way you'll know if that's been done when you shop for the car. Also, before you go down and spend 2 hours at a dealership, sometime the dealership will post the Carfax online or the auto check online, and definitely check it first to see if that's a car that you would consider. So for example, if you wanted a clean Carfax no accident car, get that Carfax before you go to the dealership, because what happened is you don't want to test drive that car, love it, try to make payment arrangements, and then the last second you go, oh, I forgot the Carfax, and they give it to you and it's had 3 accidents on it, right? So you kind of want to vet that out before you go. Another tip is, when you buy off of these eBay dealers or just regular dealers you've never heard of advertising on, say, AutoTraderCars.com or whatever sites, they might not have a great reputation. And a lot of them, that price that you see there, that low artificial price, when you walk in the dealer, you can't get that price. They add in all kinds of add-ons. So I always try to buy from a main dealer. So for example, I found 2 out of my 3 S2000s at Toyota dealers, okay? So I would buy anything from a Toyota dealer, a BMW, a Honda. It would be better to buy a Toyota from a Toyota dealer, but usually a real dealer, like a BMW dealer, a Chevy dealer, a Ford dealer, a Honda dealer, they usually take the used cars that are in the best shape and trade-ins. If the car doesn't meet their criteria, then they'll just wholesale it to that eBay dealer, or that guy that's in the warehouse, or that guy that's on the certain side of the highway where all the used car dealers are, right? So you always want to use a dealer whose reputation is very important to them, and that's usually a main dealer. They have a big highway location, for example. They spend millions on that dealership, or they're spending hundreds of thousands in rent a year, and they're always going to keep the best used cars. Now, they'll probably charge a premium for new and used cars. Who's paying for that showroom? But typically, you'll get a better car that way. So, for example, like I just said, I bought 2 S2000, just happenstance. I found it for Toyota dealers, and they happen to be very good original paint, low mileage cars. All right, so now you've picked out the dealership, you've searched your 3 Series online, and you've searched some Joe Schmo's dealer, a BMW dealer, and say a Honda dealer has one. Well, you probably should look at the ones at the Honda and the BMW dealer because they're main dealers. So get the Carfax or whatever information you have first. Maybe you need to have heated seats because you live up here like me in the Northeast. That's something you should ask before you go down to the dealer. Last thing you want to do is get there, negotiate the whole thing, and then have heated seats. Now, maybe you need a car on Monday because you're starting a new job and you can't wait. But if you're thinking of getting another car and you have a time horizon, wait for your car to come up. It's very hard now with everything with the shortages. I was just in the dealer the other day, and for all their new cars, they were asking $5,000 above sticker. It was a premium car dealer of German brand, but just shows you with the shortages, the last thing I would ever do unless I absolutely needed a car is pay $5,000 over sticker for a new car, because new cars depreciate like a rock, right? But you know, you're going to have a brand new car under warranty. You won't need tires and brakes for a while. Sometimes servicing and free if it's a BMW, so stuff like that. Now, when you picked out your dealer, be a little detective as you approach to the dealer. Is the lot full of cars or is the lot empty? So around here, I've seen both. I've seen some dealers where I'm like, wow, there's a shortage going on. Nobody has cars, and they have 500 cars sitting in there and every space is taken. So maybe that dealer is charging more for each car. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know why they have so many cars and nobody else does. They may have had to overpay those cars to get it. And then you'll see some dealers that have no cars there. So it might be hard to get a good deal also on those cars, because for both of those extremes, because they have very little cars to sell, they're going to have to maximize. They still have their rent to pay. They still have their employees to pay. So that may be a red flag as well. And sometimes you can't help it. It could be the best dealer in the world, but they just don't have enough cars because of all the shortages going on. All right, so then what you want to do is when you go to the dealer, how busy is that dealer? So is every salesman taken and it's 45-minute wait to even get a salesman to talk to you? Or is there nobody's there and everybody's salesmen are just sitting there looking at their phones because there's no customers in the store? So typically what you want to do is you want to go when the dealer's slow. They may need to make a sale on a Tuesday, where Saturday they need 3 sales, 5 sales, 10 sales, and they're going to get that because there's so many people in the dealership. If you can help it, if you can time it right, and sometimes you can't if you need a car by a certain date, is try to go at the end of the month. I worked in a dealership when I was a kid, and typically they want to sell cars. They got to meet their numbers at the end of the month. So if they had to sell 100 cars, just to use a round number, say they sold 90, they may lose a little money on the last 10 because they'll get bonuses on all 100 if they make that number. And to make it in the car business, or even the dealership to make their numbers, it's kind of like an on-off switch. They either made it or they didn't. It's not like, oh, we missed it by 1. So a lot of times you can get a better deal. The dealer's going to probably make it up in service, selling you warranties, all kinds of other stuff. So once you vetted the dealership out, you made sure they were a main dealer, you made sure they had the car there, you made sure you're ready to check the Carfax beforehand, got your financing, you know if that's a busy dealership or not, or there's nobody there. Obviously you want to buy maybe on a Tuesday afternoon when they're slow. They may have no sales that day, especially if it's a rainy day. Go to, best time to really buy a car from a dealership is the week before Christmas, because everybody's out doing Christmas shopping and nobody's thinking of buying cars. They're all doing last minute holiday stuff. And a lot of times the dealerships are dead, especially that Monday, because nobody's thinking of going there Monday before the holidays. And also, if it's a rainy day, that's a great time to buy a car. When I, as a kid, worked in a dealership, if it was pouring rain outside, there was nobody there. We were twiddling our thumbs. A lot of times they would send salesmen home just because there's nothing. They weren't expecting any customers. And you're going to drive this car in the rain, right? So why not go in the pouring rain and test drive that in the pouring rain, unless it's like some hyper sports car, which you're probably not buying if you're watching this video. So now you've done all that. Now when you negotiate a price, first give it a good test drive. A lot of times dealerships won't let you take test drives as much as they used to. Now with COVID, usually test driving it by yourself. So if you're familiar with the roads in the area, if not, scout them out on Google Earth or something like that. Drive it like you would drive it. So if this car may be a Mustang and a sporty car, but 90% of the use is going to be bumper to bumper traffic with a stick shift, honestly, that's how you should test drive it. If you like to buy furniture or antiques on the weekends, or you have a hockey bag, I bring my hockey bag. If my car is going to be a daily driver or a weekend car that I'm going to take to the hockey rink, I bring my sticks, skates, helmet, and my whole hockey bag to make sure it fits in the trunk or in the car. So with the 911s, if I take, or my Cayman S, had 2 trunks like a Boxster, you know, I could take the sticks and helmet out and the skates and put the rest of the pads in one trunk, skates and helmet in the other trunk, and I could put the stick right here. There's enough because you kind of had some compartment over the engine there. Same thing with a 911, you have the little back seat, plenty enough to lay the sticks down. And then I would wrap the stick so the tape doesn't wreck the roof or the seat or make scuff marks or anything like that. So how you're going to use it is how you're going to test drive it. Now, when you start to negotiate on price, that's really important. So again, if you're looking for a GT350R Mustang or an E92 and M3 and Lime Rock Orange, there's not going to be much negotiation because the dealer knows that. Somebody's going to come and buy the car. Even with M3s, dealers tell me, some enthusiast is going to come and pay that price, so they're not going to negotiate as much. But if you're looking for like maybe a Civic, a pickup truck, a minivan, and there's a lot of them, especially if it's like a Camry or an Odyssey or an F-150, and they have so many of them, there may be a lot of buyers, but the inventory is pretty big too, so maybe you can get a good deal if you do everything I say. Vet out the dealer, try to go when it's slow, try to go at the end of the month, preferably by the holidays, maybe when it's bad weather out. All those kind of factors are going to factor into the deal. Now, when you negotiate, so the reason you use a main dealer and not these like eBay or little internet dealers is if you read the fine print, it'll say, a lot of times it'll say the price here doesn't include financing through them, and who knows, they can give you a 20% interest rate, or it doesn't include a reconditioning fee. So once I went to look at an F10 M5, and I brought the kids, the baby seats, the whole bit, and the price was decent, not great, but decent, and it was the color I wanted, blue. And when I went there, the first thing the salesman told me before I could even test drive the car is that they had a $4,000 reconditioning fee. So everything they just did, new tires, brakes, detailing, was charged back to you. So that price that you thought was really good is now $4,000 more. So I got angry and I left, and it was frustrating because I had the baby seats and the kids, and they're like, "Daddy, what are we doing?" And I'm like, "We're leaving." And I had to drive like an hour away to test drive the next F10 M5, but it was at a Cadillac dealer, and the price was considerably the same. Once I added that $4,000 fee that the bogus dealer was charging me, I could get it from a real dealer in a much nicer car. Now, I wound up not buying it. I decided I was going to go all-wheel drive, and I think I got the Audi S8 instead or something like that. But I probably should have just test drove the car and then said I wasn't paying the $4,000. All right, so you got to watch out for the fees. There's usually like an acquisition fee. That's common on a lease, but I see it on purchases now for new and used cars where the dealer could charge you $500 or $1,000. So you think you're going in to buy the $20,000 car, and you go and negotiate it to 19, then the dealer gives you the write-up, and then you look very clear, like, why is it so much money? And maybe it's the tax. Then you look at it closely, and they charge you a $900 acquisition fee. And the latest thing I've seen is like $400 to put nitrogen in the tires, which is a bogus, all right, yeah, you don't have to check your tires because nitrogen, it doesn't fluctuate as much in the air. But $400, I could do that for a lot less. So that's just like back in the day when your parents bought a car, they had the window etching. Oh, we etched the VIN tag on every window, and it protects your car from being stolen, and it costs a couple $100s to do that, So what you should always do, since most dealers won't make the fee go away, the first thing they're going to tell you, the manager, when he tries to close the sale, is, oh, even I have to pay those fees when I buy that car. So that fee's not going away. So what you should always negotiate is the out-the-door price. So say the car's $20,000, sales tax is $1,500 and motor vehicle is $200. If there were no fees and you paid full price, then you'd be paying $21,700, right? So $1,500 for taxes, $200 for motor vehicles. In your state, it's going to be different. New Jersey, it's 6.625, the sales tax. It actually went from 6 to 7%, and then they had lowered it down to that 6.625. So again, that's why you prepare, figure out all that in your head. So now you know full price for that car without their add-on fees, which is probably $1,000, I bet, and fees would be $21,700. So really, they're going to want probably $22,700. So you're going to kind of negotiate down from that $21,700. So maybe you say, I'm going to offer you, my first offer is going to be $20,000 out the door. Now, what out the door means include sales tax and any fees, whether it's a bogus fee, a real fee, or whatever. So that means if you were buying the car cash and not financing it, I'm going to come for a check for this amount. So if it was $20,000 car plus no fees except for required by law, which is, let's just say in my example, was motor vehicle and sales tax, out the $20,000 would be for the car. The out the door price would be $21,700, right? I don't care if they charge me $20,000 and no fees or $19,000 and $1,000 fee to make them happy, right? It's still, I'm paying $20,000. I could care less where the money goes. So always negotiate the out the door price. Now, people always think it's out the door. They're like, oh, I bought this, I got a great deal on this car. I got it for 20 grand out the door. Well, you didn't. If you look in the thing, you paid sales tax, you paid the fees, you paid motor vehicles on top of that. So all that money added together is the out the door price, not what you just said. So always negotiate from the out the door price. I think that works as well. Now, if you have a trade-in, then it gets more complicated. Know what you're trading now. You can go, we don't have a CarMax in New Jersey, so my CarMaxes are 2 hours in each direction. There's one actually in South Jersey near like Delaware, Philadelphia area, about 2 hours away. And then there's one in Connecticut, also about 2 hours away. But if you have a CarMax or a Carvana, you can get a quote right now with your car. So you'll know that's a baseline for the trade-in. Now, if you're negotiating two cars, negotiate the difference. And again, the out-the-door price. Say I'm buying a new car at 20 and my trade-in is worth 10. If your trade-in is worth 10, don't be surprised if the dealer offers you 5. Maybe you made a great negotiation on the new car. Now he's just going to wholesale your new car. He can't count on making a profit. So he's going to give you exactly what the wholesaler gave him. And maybe he wants to make $500 or $1,000. Wholesaler told him, I'll give you $6,000. He's going to only give you $5,000. So a lot of times you see that difference and then you go, wow, it really kills you. Remember, in a negotiation, whoever speaks first loses. If they give you, lowball you by your trade for $5,000 and you go, oh, well, give me 6 and we have a deal, they're waiting for you to say that. And that's why they're not, a good salesman won't say anything. They won't say, oh, well, we can get closer. They'll let you counter them first. So what you want to, I don't care whether sometimes somebody's a trade-in buyer, so they'll give you a fantastic trade-in and then they'll hold their numbers on the new car. So you kind of gotta balance that. They're trying to, a good salesman will try to scope you out as soon as you come in. Are you a, looking for a discount on the new car you're purchasing, new or used, or you a trade-in buyer? Your first thing you're going to say was what my car's worth before we're going to negotiate. They may give you $12,000 for that $10,000 car, but then they're going to make it up the difference on the new car, whether it's financing, fees. So kind of always negotiate the difference between those two cars. I don't care if they give me a discount, a huge, no discount on the new car and way over on my trade, or they give me a terrible trade and a huge discount on the new car. I'm negotiating the difference, right? It's what I care is out the door. If I was buying this car cash, what do I come to write a check with? And, you can use dealers if it's a common car, like a Civic or a Camry or something like that. You probably could find another one down the road and pit those two dealers against each other. So a lot of times I'll leave and not buy the car in the first negotiation. They know if you come the second time, you're typically going to buy 70% of the time, or you come with your wife and kids or husband and kids, that you're a serious buyer if you're coming with the baby seats and putting them in the car. But a lot of times I'll leave that negotiation and then I'll just say, hey, keep in touch, maybe we can do a deal, and then call them a day or two before the end of the month, because you have to take delivery at the end of the month and sign the papers and have the car. You can't just sign it that day typically and come pick it up Monday. If that Saturday was considered the last day of the month, or whatever day it was, Wednesday was the actual day of the month. So give them a couple days heads up so they know at the last minute the salesman can get that sale. The GM knows he can get another sale under his belt, and it usually works that way. All right, so guys, thanks for watching this video. I could go on for hours on this topic. So remember to like, share, and subscribe. Please leave a comment below. Let me know your experience at dealerships, either buying new or used, trading in a car, your good things that happen and bad things that happen. Did the dealer take advantage of you and figure it out later, or were you able to use some good techniques where you got a good deal? Let me know in the comments below. I read each and every comment and I will respond to it.